So I need a little more assistance on these linear equations and functions. Can you help me out with that? I'm glad you asked. It's your girl Tiffany from Tiffany's Tutoring and Consulting LLC, and I'm guiding you through these education SAT streets. All right, so we're gonna talk about linear equations, linear functions. We talked about systems, so let's back it on up, and do something a little more simplistic, but sometimes may trip up students. So here I have three linear functions. When I look at this, I'm going to first look at forms of linear functions. And the form that most students know is y equals mx plus b. Man, students can say that just off the top of the head, but a lot of times they don't understand the portions of it or the parts of it. So the m is the slope, okay? It's going to be a constant rate of change because it is a linear function. So that's going to also be rise over run. And it's going to be the coefficient to x. The slope is not, let's say, for example, 3x, the slope is just 3. Okay. B is going to be our y intercept and it's going to be our constant. So it's going to be where the graph hits the y axis. Okay. That is not going to have a variable because it's a constant. So we're looking at a real world context. We have to kind of take that into consideration. Number 5 says Hannah deposited a fixed amount to our bank account each month. The function f of t, again, this is still linear, just in function notation, equals 100 plus 25t, gives the amount in dollars in Hannah's bank account after T monthly deposits. What is the best interpretation of 25 in this context? So the first thing you want to do is identify, is this the slope or the y-intercept? Take a minute and see if you can figure this out. So if you said that it was the slope, you are correct. And the reason that we know is because it is the coefficient of t. Now, some students might say it's 100 because it's first, but remember, it does not matter the order of addition. 3 plus 5 is 8. 5 plus 3 is 8. Doesn't matter the order of addition. So we want to make sure we're looking for that variable. So 25 is the slope of the function. So now let's look at our problems. And I always like to do process of elimination. It says A, with each monthly deposit, the amount in Hannah's bank account increased by $25. Okay, that might be a possibility. Before she made a deposit, the amount in her bank account was 25. So we know that that is incorrect because that would have to be our y-intercept. So we're going to X that out. After one monthly deposit, the amount in Hannah's bank account was $25. Now we know that the amount is greater because she started out with 100. So we're going to X that out. Hannah made a total of 25 monthly deposits. There's no information that gives us that reason to believe that. So because we do want to increase or rate, we're going to go with A. A is going to be your answer for number 5. Okay. Number 11. The given equation describes the relationship between the number of birds, B, and the number of reptiles, R, that can be cared for at a pet business on a given day. If the business cares for 16 reptiles on a given day, how many birds can it care for on this day? Now, it's two different ways to do it. One way that you can do it is you can literally put back in the answers. So you know that R is reptiles, B is birds. So you can just start at letter A. Okay. So for letter A, the birds would be 0. And we already said it was 16 reptiles. So then I could just go ahead and make computations and see if these sides equal each other. So that will cancel. And then you get 80 equals 80. So then automatically you'd see that A is the correct answer. Now to solve it algebraically, I would just do something very similar. I'll put in 16 for the reptiles, and then I'd solve from there. Okay. Then again, I'd subtract 80 from both sides. And let me go ahead and erase this out. Y equals mx plus b. We know what that is. We're going to erase that out so we can get some space. There we go. Then I would go ahead and do my subtraction. Again, I would divide by 2.5 because it's the coefficient of b and it's being multiplied. B is 0. So either way you slice it, you can do the problem that way. Again, if you kind of forget how to go through and solve it, a lot of times with the multiple choice, especially with linear functions, you can evaluate, put the answer back in and check. And if the answer is if A didn't work out, then you try B. If B doesn't work out, you try C, but one of those would have to work out. And our last one, last but not least, F of x equals 7x plus 1. The function gives the total number of people on a company retreat with X managers. What is the total number of people on a company retreat with 7 managers? Again, you just have to read and kind of understand the context, or not even the context in this case. You just have to read and make sure you know what's the input, what's the output. The function gives the total number of people on a retreat. So, because that's the function, that's the output. So, the output is the total number of people on the retreat. The input is X, which is the managers. Okay. So now that I know my input and my output, then I can go ahead and figure out how to solve my problem. Again, very straightforward once you know your input and your output. So because we know that 7 managers is our input, we're going to say f of 7 equals 7 and then replace x with 7. And then I'm just go ahead and simplify. So then my answer, 7 managers, the maximum people is going to be 50. Hopefully that helps. These were pretty straightforward, but again, just a good review for you to look at your linear equations. Check out my next video where we'll go even deeper into our linear equations on the SAT. If you have any comments or suggestions, put them down below. All right, thank y'all. Peace.